If you enjoy what you hear here today, please consider supporting me on my Patreon page. Every dollar helps, and you get to see content that you won't see here. Chapter 45. Reunited. The next morning, Fort Harmony. "Come on, wake up," a male voice demanded, lightly kicking Rarity to ensure that she did. She groaned in futile resistance, her eyes blinking omen to examine the world in which she had found herself. She was located in a rather drab and unsightly tent, lying on what she didn't think deserved the title of a mattress with the bedhead to end all bedheads. In any other situation, it would have been the worst possible scenario, especially with her mess of a mane. But nothing about it could trump the destruction she had seen the previous day, and she doubted anything ever would. The soldier who had woken her had already moved on, waking up the plenitude of other displaced refugees in the tent. Rarity arose from her uncomfortably thin mattress and lit up her horn in an attempt to do anything with her mane. It failed, much to her immense irritation. With a defeated sigh, Rarity exited the tent and stepped out into the early morning daylight. The sun was barely poking above the horizon, and yet the EUP of Fort Harmony were already running drills and swapping the night guard with the day guard. Mere meters away from the refugee camp established within the fort's grounds, a group of EUP ponies, all with crossbows draped across their backs, were being briefed by their leader. "The city of Las Pegasus is now changeling-free. Our boys have pushed the bugs out of our turf," the stallion in question announced, eliciting cheers from his team. "But changeling survivors have drifted south and are now causing a nuisance for our outlying towns. It's nothing the soldiers there can't handle, but the higher-ups want some pony to go in and hunt these things down before they can cause any more trouble." "That'd be us, right, boss?" "Damn right," was the response. "We're to go in, pick them off before they know what hit them, and get out again. It's so simple that even you jokers couldn't mess it up."
Excuse me?"
Rarity interrupted the rousing speech the stallion was giving.
"Sorry to interrupt your morning exercises, but could you tell me the time?"
The soldier nodded. "It's no trouble, Miss Rarity. It's 5 a.m, just gone."
Why so early?"
Rarity moaned. "You're moving out soon. Some of our guys are taking you and the others up to Canterlot."
"Canterlot? That's a city I cannot wait to see."
Rarity muttered.
"Wait, you know my name?"
"My daughter's a fan of your fashion designs," the soldier stated. "On top of that, you're being considered a high-priority asset by the higher-ups. If some pony fails to get you to Canterlot alive and lives, well, they'll wish they didn't."
"I'll endeavor to live then,"
Rarity deadpanned.
"And what do you mean by asset?"
"You're an element bearer, right?" he pointed out. "It's not like I've lived under a rock. I know what you and your team have done."
"Replace the word team with friends, and you've got that right,"
she dryly responded, really not in a good mood. "Not a morning pony, are you, ma'am?"
"I just watched an entire city crumble like one of my less inspired designs. I'm not in the best of moods,"
Rarity stated.
"It's been a bad couple of days, darling."
"I suppose I can't blame you there," he conceded. "But in that case, I may have something to brighten things up a little bit."
"Oh?"
"Yeah. Me and my team are known as the Long Shots, named after some hero who died a few years back," he explained. "We perform a mixture of scouting duties and, when it's necessary, we're sent to quietly take out whoever we're sent to take out. I'm sure you overheard our latest orders."
"I did. It brightens my day. How?"
"Well, today we're taking some pony out. Yesterday it was scouting," he continued. "And while doing that, we reported back survivors coming out of Ponyville. Your group will be picking them up on the way to Canterlot. On top of that, I believe your friends were among the survivors."
"They were?"
Rarity asked.
"Well, that is good news. Were they... Wait. Survivors? What happened to Ponyville?"
At that point, the stallion realized he had not brightened her day, but had in fact made it all the worse. Canterlot. Luna walked through the royal wing of Canterlot Castle, the bedchambers of her elder sister being the Blue Alicorn's destination. The Princess of the Sun should have already risen to begin her early morning duties, of which there were countless in such a time of war. However, she had failed to turn up to any of them, and thus, with a frown on her face, the Princess of the Moon had to go and collect her tardy sister and discover what the holdup was. She was way too tired for any of it. So in that regard, she stormed up to the sizable bedroom doors with the sun emblazoned onto them, bypassed the guards with not so much as a nod, and nearly kicked the doors open.
Would you mind explaining why I had to double my workload this morning, dearest sister?
Luna asked in frustration, though she came to a stop when she saw her sister stretched out across her bed with a letter held in her magic. Also with her on the bed was a large chest filled to the brim with even more letters, each one lovingly preserved.
Being a good friend means being able to keep a secret, but you should never be afraid to share your true feelings with a good friend.
Celestia read off the page.
I do like that one, especially when you take her changeling nature into account. Then again, I like them all. Are those Twilight's friendship reports? This one here is about you,
Celestia continued, picking up another letter from the chest.
When you first sent me to Ponyville, I didn't know anything about friendship. I met some pony tonight who was having the same problem. Your sister, Princess Luna. She taught me that one of the best things you can do with friendship is to give it to others and help them find it themselves. And I'm happy to report that all of Ponyville has learned that even though some pony seems a little intimidating, maybe even scary, when you offer them your friendship, you'll discover a whole new pony underneath. And even if my Starsora the Bearded costume didn't go over, this still turned out to be the best nightmare night ever. Yes, I do recall that,
Luna noted, shutting the door behind her far more gently than she had opened it.
She was the only one to give me a chance, and to see past my greatest mistakes. Indeed,
Celestia replied, then moving on to read another.
From now on, I'm going to solve problems as they come, and stop worrying about every little thing. Which situation led to that lesson? It's a rather long story involving a predestination paradox,
Celestia stated with a chuckle.
I do recall catching Twilight breaking into the Royal Library, even though she already had access as my student. It wasn't the first time.
Celestia looked down on the letter, her smile falling away a few inches.
This was also one of the last she sent me before the wedding,
she muttered gently.
It's been 10 years, and I never received another one since her reveal. I always loved getting them, every single one. It showed her growth as a person, and also let me feel like she was right beside me, even when she was all the way in Ponyville. And now they allow you to feel like that even though she's a very long way away,
Luna stated in understanding.
Yes, I can understand that. I made sure to preserve each one. Not even a crease on a single page,
Celestia continued on.
And I intend to keep them that way, for all of time if I can. Each one is invaluable to me. Each one is a part of her.
Luna sighed.
Sister, have you slept?
Celestia looked up at Luna and blinked.
What time is it?
Nearly 6 a.m. A flash of guilt appeared on Celestia's face.
I'm sorry, Luna. I was distracted. I realized that. Luckily, I was there to raise the sun when it was required, Luna said firmly. Equestria needs you, Tia. I know, Celestia responded, carefully returning all of the friendship reports to their place in the chest before sliding it back under her bed. After this, care to join me for breakfast? Gladly, I've yet to eat, Luna agreed. Celestia arranged her bed and opened up the curtains, then proceeding to place on her regalia and ensure her image was as pristine as always. After all was said and done, instead of leaving the room, she turned to face Luna again with a rather grim look on her features. Luna, do you know why I spent all night reading those letters? Luna tilted her head. To connect with Twilight. We just talked about it. Yes. But it goes deeper, Celestia explained. She was at the head of the swarm that destroyed Manhattan. My daughter killed all those ponies, even if she isn't truly at fault. I had to remind myself just who she is beneath the Empress. The Twilight I know and love rather than this thing she's been turned into. A weapon would be a precise word for it, Luna suggested. And as long as things remain as they are, that will not change. I know, Celestia responded darkly. Yesterday, in the throne room, we discussed the Empress. We do know she is not leading her forces in this war. Not on the front line, at least. Luna nodded. Yes, that has become apparent. What of it? The EUP cannot defeat the Changeling Swarm, not one of this size, Celestia pointed out. Engagements like the ones at Van Hoover and Lost Pegasus can be won, but when the might of all the Changeling Queens are brought forth? Each one has an alicorn's worth of magical power, Luna finished. 18 queens and 2 princesses. Essentially 20 versions of you or I let loose on the innocent, and with a large army to back them up. 21 if you include the Empress, Celestia added. And it's all the Empress. As long as her hive mind exists, well, they are all a part of her. She is the head of the snake. And you cut the head off of a snake, Luna concluded. You agree that it's time to strike at the heart of the invasion? I do, Celestia said with a nod of confirmation. We know where she will be. The Council Hive. Twilight never let me in on its exact location, just its general vicinity, but we have Cardus to help with that. I'll have him mark a map, Luna replied. But should we march an army up there, we may never reach it. I can say with the utmost certainty that the swarm will take notice. We won't take an army, Celestia proclaimed. The Changeling Queens are all here. The swarm is here. You and me, little sister. That's all it will take. We'll confront this Empress and stop her from spilling any more pony or changeling blood. What of Cadence? Some pony needs to keep an eye on things and rule in our stead should we not return, Celestia noted grimly. No, she should stay here. The two of us can make our way up to the hive without the swarm taking notice. We would have to be extremely careful to do so, Luna stated. She could have eyes as everyone, as anything. We must try, Celestia responded. I agree. But not yet. We do have some preparation to do first, Luna pointed out. We should keep as few others in the know as possible to minimize a leak of our plans. We do need to have Cardus show us the way and prepare Cadence for taking on all of our responsibilities in our absence. And we may need a cover story, Celestia added in. Visiting our ponies to uplift morale, perhaps, or retreating into the archives to research new techniques to win the war. We can arrange something like that, Luna agreed. But for now, breakfast? Celestia smiled. That would be a good place to start, yes.
The road to Canterlot was a tiring one, especially when you were carrying the injured along with you. All the refugees from Ponyville, however, pressed on with a purpose. At their head was a group of 4 mares and 1 dragon, ensuring that those who followed them kept moving on forward and did not fall behind. Nerves were frayed, morale was non-existent, and yet they continued on to the distant city in the mountainside.
Shouldn't be too much longer, folks,
Applejack shouted back to the others.
Just keep on pressing, you hear?
They hear you,
Rainbow Dash replied.
They always hear you.
Fluttershy was looking around expectantly, as she had done since she left the ruined town.
They're not coming, Flutters,
Rainbow Dash stated.
Give it up.
You never know. Some of my animal friends could come along.
You said you told them to run when it all began. They'll have gone their own way.
She's right, Sugar Cube. They're fine,
Applejack agreed.
What we gotta worry about are the ponies behind us.
And donkeys,
Pinkie Pie added in.
Can't forget them.
Oh. Speaking of non-ponies, I sure hope Sakura's all right,
Fluttershy stated.
I didn't see any go into the forest,
Applejack noted.
I imagine it'd be too much a hassle just to get 1 zebra. The Everfree Forest is a dangerous place, even to changelings, I'd wager.
Rainbow nodded.
AJ's right. No way they'd go in unless it was for something worthwhile.
Yeah, I don't think the Empress thinks in the small scale anyway, Spike remarked, eyes remaining pinned on the road ahead. Can't wield ancient artifacts or move the sun and moon? You're not worth her attention.
I'd say that's a good thing, Spike.
Never said it wasn't.
Hang on, guys. You hear that?
Pinkie asked, one of her ears standing up as she listened out for something.
Remember our talk about helicopters on the train?
Applejack gave her a deadpan look. Pinkie, that was 10 years ago.
Mm-hmm. And you're still so uncultured.
As if on cue, several of those aforementioned helicopters passed overhead, the gusts created by their blades sending loose foliage scattering all over the landscape. Several more passed overhead as the group came to a complete halt, staring up at the sight. Those transports headed straight on past them in the direction of Canterlot, but the first ones had instead looped around and came into land a short way in front of the survivors. Pinkie Pie bounced in place, giving Applejack a stupidly wide grin.
See, I told you!
Applejack ignored the pink party pony, instead turning to Spike.
That's the EUP, right?
I think so, Spike responded hopefully. We should have them all stay back here while we check it out. The farmer nodded.
Agreed.
After relaying their instructions to the ponies of Ponyville, the 5 ran on forwards towards the landed transports, just as the EUP began to disembark. As they approached, one soldier held out a hoof to stop them. Halt! The 5 ground to a halt as ordered, Spike stepping forward to speak. Soldier, I'm Spike, of the Equestrian Hive. These ponies with me are the bearers of the Elements of Harmony, and those further back are all survivors of Ponyville's destruction. I appreciate that, sir, but we have to verify that. Stay where you are. Spike nodded. Changelings, right. As that was going on, an alabaster mare jumped down from one of the transports and pushed her way past the EUP. When she made it to the group, all of their eyes widened in surprise.
Rarity?
They all spoke at once.
Hello, girls.
Rarity greeted back with a weary smile.
Sorry I haven't been around as of late. Things got complicated in Manhattan.
I'll say, you look terrible,
Rainbow Dash blurted out.
Your mane's all messed up. You never let that happen.
Shut up, Rainbow.
Applejack silenced the Pegasus.
Rarity, what happened to you? Same thing that happened to Ponyville,
she explained.
Now, what of Sweetie Belle and my parents? She's fine,
Fluttershy assured, stepping forward and resting a hoof on her friend's shoulder.
She's a Scootaloo and Apple Bloom, and they're all with the others behind us. Your parents, too. Oh, that's a weight off my chest.
Rarity breathed a sigh of relief before turning to Spike with a few tears in the corners of her eyes.
But, Spike, I lost Saronis and Palula.
Spike's heart clenched. What do you mean you lost them?
I saw Twilight. She took them. Made them like the others. But Saronis, she saved me.
Twilight. Yeah. I saw her too. She tried to kill me. Rarity gasped.
Oh, Spikey, I'm so sorry.
Don't be. We're together again. That's what matters.
Well, of course!
Pinkie Pie shouted, grabbing all of her friends into one big group hug.
As long as we're together, we can't be beaten. And it's about time, too. It's almost like this is our first meeting this time around.
Well, we still haven't got Twilight.
Fluttershy reluctantly pointed out as she was released from the group hug.
Not yet,
Pinkie replied.
but we will. We have to.
She's right, Applejack agreed. She's still our friend. All this business ain't her fault. Spike sighed, looking off into the general direction of Manhattan. I sure hope so. If you're quite finished, the EUP soldier from before spoke up again, we'll begin to load off the refugees, including you ponies, and examine you for infiltration as we go. Should our birds be filled up before every pony is aboard, we'll leave some EUP behind to safeguard them, and return for them after dropping the first wave off. Understood? Spike nodded. We got it. Rarity smiled, this time a little brighter.
I'm just relieved to be back with you all. Maybe now things might just get a little better.